Okay, well, I found me a limb, a knot in an old rotten cedar. Tried some pine, but it was a little rough, but I didn't have my axe to get really down into the heart of it. So it was really, really wet on the outside, and with my shovel, it was hard to get down into the middle. But I did find this piece here, made me some shavings, and I have started a little fire. Now, everything's wet. It had not rained much today, but yesterday it's pouring down. So just made a little stick fire. I'm gonna get it going, and I've got my my box, my metal box, and I've got some cotton in there, and we're going to put that on the fire and let it smolder. So I've got my fire made. I've got my metal tin. I've got some cotton. I do have a little bitty vent hole. I'm gonna seal this up, and we're going to put it on the fire here, and let it get hot and make some char cloth, and then we're going to try to use the flint and steel on the char cloth. Awesome. Well, as you can see the smoke behind me, I've got a small fire. I did start it with a ferro rod and some fat wood. Everything's really wet here, so lots of smoke, but I do have, it's just a twig fire. I did dig a hole, so the ground's also wet, so it's hard for it to burn, but I didn't want a big fire. I'm only gonna be here for just a little while, and got my friend, got a fire. I am making some char cloth now. I just used a piece of knit cotton towel that had been torn. I do have it in my tin, and it's smoking good. It's hard to see, but you can actually see the smoke really pouring out of the vent hole, and that's what you want. You want to smoke and char that towel really good, and it's working. I don't know if you can see the little slit of a vent hole, but you can, through the other smoke, you can see the pressure smoke coming out of that. So cool. We're gonna make some char cloth. So I've taken my tin off, and you see better now that there's not the smoke from the fire, but you see the notch, and you see the wispy smoke coming out of the notch. So that keeps a lot of oxygen from getting in there and the cotton actually catching on fire and burning up. You're essentially making a super thin piece of like charcoal, but char cloth to take a spark. So we're gonna let that cool and then see if it worked or if we burn it up. And we're gonna sit next to the fire while we're doing it. I didn't hit the record button, and I struck using my striker, my flint, my ferro rod and steel, and struck it on the char cloth. Now it's hard to see. I done that about 3 minutes ago, and if you can tell, that is piping hot, where it's just smoldering. So the char cloth worked. It took very little spark. Now the thing is to try it with the flint and steel. The ferro rod throws a much hotter, larger spark. So now we're going to try it with the caveman style, with the char cloth that we've made, not the piece already on fire. See how it works. Okay, I've hit the record button now. Now I know I'm leaned in an awkward position, but this is about the only way I could get Jeb to hold the camera. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of propped it up with a shovel actually. But anyway, you've seen me put my tin with my cotton terry towel on the fire. It's still burning, just off camera, and made some really nice char cloth. Now I did light a piece of it, or ember a piece of it, with a ferro rod and a striker. But what we're going to do is, this stuff's really fragile, but we're just going to take a piece of it. I'm going to protect the rest of it, but I'm going to take a piece of this, like right there. A good friend of mine had to work with, Zach, for Christmas. Got me a pretty cool gift. Got me a steel with a very nice piece of flint. So I can get a spark pretty good, but aiming the spark is what's tough. But we're going to try it. We're going to take this little piece of, and we're going to try it. It's the first time I've ever done this, so. So there you go. So that will smolder. Now, if I had a tinder bundle, which I don't have, and everything's pretty wet up here right now, but I could essentially put it in that tinder bundle. It's getting hot on my fingers. Wow, yeah. I hope I got that on camera because I burnt my finger. But even with wet leaves, fire. So, killer. I just never use char cloth. I've seen people use it. I've seen my grandfather use it, and know that it works well, but I'd never had a flint and steel. So I really got interested in the flint, making arrowheads and learning to do some napping. And I had mentioned I didn't have a flint and steel, and my buddy Zach, like I'd mentioned before, got me this for Christmas. It's perfect. You just seen it work. I've made all kind of sparks, and got that down pat. You got to have a sharp edge on your flint to just scrape off a little bit of the steel, which comes off red hot. So I tried to do the fat wood with this, and this don't quite throw hot enough spark, but a little bit of fat wood shavings and a small piece of char cloth. That char cloth takes the least little spark. I mean, one little spark hit the end of that. I don't know. I haven't looked at the video yet, but I hope I got that on video. But I blew that to, an ember. I didn't have a tinder bundle ready. I grabbed a handful of leaves over here. Some of the ones on top where the wind is blowing is a little bit dry, but for the most part, they're wet. And blew it till it started to flame up and actually burnt my finger on the back side where I was holding it. And then blew it to a flame. And I'm pretty sure I got that on camera at least the second time. But awesome. So with tent, and so, well, you can't make char cloth without a fire. Well, of course you can't, but you get a fire, you make char cloth, and you take it with you. Most Indians and a lot of people, Hugh Glass, carried a small possibles bag. In that bag they carried a small fire pouch. Normally, in that time in the frontiersmen and things, they used a piece of steel and a piece of flint, and char cloth is how they started fire. Now the Indians used bow drills and things of that nature, but for the most part, the early Americans, this was the big lighter. So I just done it myself. I'm pretty proud. I've seen my grandfather do it hundreds of times, but I'd never made char cloth myself and actually held it and make a strike and start a spark onto the char cloth. The char cloth took so much quicker and easier than I thought. Now with the ferro rod, it took, but the ferro rod's hot. I mean, you strike a ferro rod in your hand, you can actually burn a blister on your hand just with the one little spark. But this is, this does spark, and it's not real easy to do that, but you can, about 45-degree angle, sharp edge, and strike down and quick, but you just barely want to touch it. But it worked. I'm pretty proud. Made a video in about 10 different pieces. I'll try to get that put together for everybody. I hope you enjoy the videos. I just enjoy being outside. My evenings are short with my work. I have to go to bed so early, but I really enjoyed this. We got a little fire going, and my dog's up here, so killer. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. YouTube video wise, like and subscribe. We'll see what happens. Just chilling up on the hill in the woods with my dog. Had a little fire going. It's pretty much just aroma now. There's a piece of cedar in it. It's really relaxing. Just sitting here. Made some char cloth. Used the char cloth. It worked. Kind of cool. I talked to my Uncle Ray on the phone for a little while about the day's events. We talk every day, and it's one of the highlights of my day, getting to talk to somebody who understands me when I, most people are, where
on the hill in the woods behind your house and you're trying to start a fire, is that safe? You know, my uncle Ray's like, really, Art? That's cool. That's just awesome, you know, and I appreciate that so much, you know, having somebody that understands you. But Chevy heard something. We're just chilling. It's about my bedtime. It's about the right temperature out here. It's probably a little too cool to be sitting on the ground like I am. I can feel the ground sucking the heat, but cool video. I hope I'm gonna try to edit and get the fire making video done. I've found fat wood. I've started fire with fat wood. I've started a fire with fat wood and a ferro rod. Used that fire to make my char cloth, and then I've used a flint and steel and the char cloth to start a fire. So I also have made a bow drill set up, less than 20 minutes set up, and have got it to smoke. I've not really had a tinder bundle ready and went at it to start a fire, but that's next. Awesome. It's hard to explain how relaxing it is. I'm sitting up here on the hill in the dirt. What was a fire is just smoldering now. That one piece there in the middle is a piece of cedar root. Had a little fat wood on the end and not enough to harvest. I just throwed it in there. It did boil the sap out of it and lit up pretty good there a little while ago, but Jebby's just waiting on me to go home because it's about our bedtime. Are you eating sticks or what? Are you eating sticks? Hey, I'm talking to you, not the camera. Yeah, you. Are you eating sticks? No? Pretty sure I seen him eating a stick.